Hi, welcome back to The Good, the Bad, and the Anxious. I'm Rebecca, and I'm here to document my journey to bariatric surgery and beyond. I'm getting the vertical sleeve gastrectomy on January 16th, 2021 at Blossom Bariatrics in Las Vegas. My stats are down below in the description if you're interested, along with my Instagram link and some other stuff, so you can see kind of what's going on and what I'm doing throughout this process. So I am actually on day 1 of pre-op diet, and I am 2 weeks to the day from surgery. And I'll probably do another video for sure at the end of the week about the pre-op diet and how that's going and how much weight I've lost in the first week. But for now, just day 1. And it's been a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. So first of all, I want to say thank you to those of you who have stuck with me so far. I know I'm a rambler. I know that these videos are not short. And I know that they're kind of boring because I don't really edit a whole bunch of stuff and add a bunch of stuff, visually interesting in. But I promise that, I will get to that point. Basically, the best camera that I have is the one on my phone, and the one that's on my laptop really isn't that great. And my laptop is the only thing I have for any sort of video editing. So I haven't really been using it for this. I've just been using my phone. So yeah, at some point I'll break out the laptop and I will actually do some editing and get some photos in here and everything. But if you're interested in, my progress and my photos, again, go to my Instagram and you can see them there. So with that out of the way, today's video topic is surgery without insurance, what that looks like, how it's different, and then in the support system that I've had to build for myself, as well as what I did to prepare for pre-op diet, which, like I said, is started today. So surgery with insurance, if you've ever had surgery and you've gone through your insurance, then you know at least to some degree how surgeries work with insurance. But the bariatric surgery is different. You have to have, you have to have approval. There's often a really lengthy process to get that approval too. Often your insurance will require like months of monitored diets with your doctor. It will also include like a certain number of visits with a dietitian. You have to meet like BMI requirements, and you have to have like X number of comorbidities in order to be approved. You have psych evaluations you have to pass too. There's surgeon visits. There's a lot of hoops you have to jump through, but at the same time, this also creates a surprising amount of support for you as well when you go through insurance. You often are required post-surgery to meet with a support group of people who've gone through bariatric surgery as well, to make sure that that you're on track and that you have the support you need and people around you who understand what you're going through. And you have all these extra visits with your surgeon ahead of time. You have all of these visits with dietitian. There's a lot of support and a lot that kind of surrounds you when you're going through this surgery with insurance. And then of course, it can be a long and exhausting process. Some people don't get approved. They have to appeal the process. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's American insurance companies. They're really not that great. They basically do everything that they can not to pay for anything. But when you do get approval, it's usually pretty good, because then obviously you have approval and then you can, they'll cover part of the cost and you only have to pay whatever your deductible is, or you get the point. When you don't do it with insurance, when you pay out of pocket, you don't have to do those things. And I am incredibly lucky that I get to go through this process without insurance. for a number of reasons that I'll outline, but there's also some drawbacks too. I'm not going to have the same support built around it that somebody going through surgery with insurance might, but I also have to pay 100% out of pocket. There's no deductible. I don't get a break, you know. So that actually was part of what influenced me to go through Blossom Bariatrics instead of, say, sticking around locally and getting it done here in Oregon. Because Blossom, because they do outpatient, they're about 10 to 15 grand cheaper than if you go through a hospital. Also, that was another kind of plus about going through Blossom, is that they're not a hospital. They're a private surgery center. So in the midst of COVID that we're going through right now, and just all that general uncertainty, it really helps to know that where I'm going to be going, I'm not taking a bed away from a sick person. And my surgery is not likely to be canceled. So basically, surgery without insurance, there's a lot of freedom there. There's no psych eval, there's no 6-month, supervised diet that you have to follow. There's no, weight you have to lose. There's no nothing. Basically, you just pick a day and you pay for it and you go. And that seems great, seems ideal, seems simple. But the downside is it also comes with no support system at all. So I've had to build my own. And what my support system looks like is I have 2 therapists, as I've previously mentioned in other videos, one who does EMDR and one who does just kind of classic CBT, DBT therapy. And the 2 of them combined, they've been amazing, because not only have they supported me 100%, they think this is great for me, this is going to be a great idea and a great thing for my life. They also are out there, and they're not bariatric specific therapists, so they have gone out and are actually educating themselves on this process and what it's going to mean for me personally and what kinds of stuff I'm going to go through afterwards. And so we're just kind of they're preparing themselves for what's going to happen post-operatively. So I also have friends and family, most of whom have been very supportive and very helpful. I'm super grateful for the ones that have been supportive. I will probably do another video about the ones who have not been as supportive, talking about whether or not this surgery is the easy way out, because that's seems to be what some people think. But that's not at all what it is. And I am incredibly grateful to have the people who do understand and realize that this is not something that anybody does lightly, and that they're super supportive. So yeah, I definitely have that. But like I said, there are some downsides to this. I don't have a dietitian. Blossom does offer over the phone and email support with their registered dietitians, both pre-op and post-op. But it's only up until a certain point. It is limited. At some point, they do start to charge you extra if you need extra appointments with them. And they're in Vegas. They're far away, so you can only do over the phone or email support. You can't do any in-person stuff. Another thing is I don't have a local surgeon, so I have never met my surgeon. I don't know who my surgeon is. I know that Blossom is run by Tom Umbach, and he is, kind of the main surgeon there, but he's got a couple other surgeons underneath him, and I don't know which one of them is going to be doing my surgery until I arrive there and I get to meet that person. And I get to meet them the day before surgery, which is, it's nerve-wracking. Yeah. Another drawback is that I've kind of received minimal information. It seems that, it's not that Blossom doesn't want to give you the information, but they just they dole out their information in pieces over the course of multiple months. And some of their information is weirdly vague, about how everything works. And essentially, I have felt like throughout this process, I'm somebody who loves to research. I'm somebody who really wants all information possible up front so that I can study it, I can read it, I can take my time and really absorb the content. But Blossom's not quite like that. So they want to give it to you in bursts, and that's not how my brain works. And their material is kind of vague also on purpose, because that way things can be catered and adjusted to the particular patient post-operatively, which makes sense, but it's a little frustrating when you're trying to prepare and you don't know how much to prepare for. And they are very helpful. They've been very helpful and very nice over the phone and via email, answering all my questions, especially if I had like medical questions, concerned about my blood pressure, that kind of stuff. But in general, I feel like they were a lot of like, oh, all your questions will be answered when you get here. And I'm like, I don't want them answered when I get there. I want them answered now. So that's been a little bit frustrating, but that's mainly more a me problem, and probably a lot of other people wouldn't mind that. But I think overall I've had less medical support leading up to this surgery than somebody who's doing it through insurance. Yeah. And basically like the post-op process is I'm going to be bringing home paperwork and handing it to my primary care and being like, here, I just had major surgery, but you're doing all the post-op stuff. And I just happened to have the misfortune that my primary care doctor just retired, I'm not joking, a week ago. And so the first time that I'm meeting my new primary care doctor is going to be on my 2-week post-op visit. So yeah, I'm going to be walking in and be like, hello, I'm your new patient. I just had major surgery. Let's handle this. And they don't know my history, nothing. It's gonna be an adventure, and I feel like it's not like that for everybody. Because most people would have their post-op visits with their surgeon. I don't get to have that. So that is another kind of drawback, not only to Blossom, but also to doing out-of-pocket pay. And then finally, a lot of people, like I said before, are given some sort of group to join post-operatively, and I don't really have that. It's not a requirement. There is a Blossom Facebook group for patients, but they don't let you join until your 1-week post-op, and yeah, so otherwise, basically up until now, I've just built myself an online community mostly through Instagram, of people who've been through this before me, and can give me little tidbits of information. So those are the biggest differences between, doing surgery with insurance and without, and that's what it looks like for me, and those are the things that I've built up around me. So yeah. So now on to the second part of this video, which is about my pre-op diet and what I've done to prepare for it. So I have spent the last few weeks kind of slowly having what are called food funerals. Basically, you say goodbye to food. You say goodbye to your favorite foods and the foods that you're not supposed to eat post-operatively. Now, for me, post-operatively, no food is going to be off limits. It's just the amount of the food that I eat that will be controlled. And then, of course, if my stomach says no thank you, then that food will be off limits. But essentially, I'm saying goodbye for now to most of my favorite foods. So I did that. But other than that, like when I wasn't having those meals, and they weren't all the time, it was, a couple times a week I would have something and I would say goodbye to it. But other than that, I've been working on eating low carb, cutting down so that my blood sugar is under control and my body is used to that. And also trying to lose a couple pounds before surgery. I've managed to lose in the realm of around 10 pounds-ish, Kind of depends on the day, since I started this process. And then in the last 2 weeks, so 2 weeks ago, I began pushing my breakfast later and later. And then I stopped eating carbs in the morning and started eating protein in the morning because basically I knew that for this pre-op diet that I wasn't gonna be able to have carbohydrates first thing in the morning. And then this last week, I replaced 1 meal a day, my breakfast, with a protein shake, and I pushed it later in the day. And then on top of that, I also swapped to decaf coffee because I can't have caffeine for the first, not only for the pre-op diet, but I can't have caffeine for the first like month post-surgery. And it has to do with dehydration and making sure that you're getting in your fluids because caffeine is a diuretic. So that's kind of that, and working on getting in 64 ounces of water every day. Those are things that I've been working on and been doing pretty well. And basically, so for those of you that don't know, the purpose of a pre-op diet is it's not to lose some weight before surgery. It's not to prove that, you know, that you're going to stick with it. It's not for any of that. It is for shrinking your liver. So, if you didn't know, this is your liver, this is your stomach, and they sit kind of right next to each other. And so when they're going to cut out my stomach, which kind of is like this, it kind of goes in this direction. They have to suspend your liver and kind of keep it away from your stomach so that they can cut your stomach and avoid all of this good stuff. So if your liver is too heavy, they can't suspend it. And if they can't suspend it, then they can't do surgery. So the purpose of the pre-op diet is actually to shrink the visceral fat that is around your organs. And that is one thing, it's the most dangerous kind of fat that we have as fat people. And it's just not good for you. So shrink the visceral fat, make the liver lighter so that they can suspend it for surgery. And many surgeons, depends on the surgeon, every surgeon is different. Some require a 14-day liquid diet, some require 10 days, some require 3, some require literally like 1. Just depends on the surgeon, and it varies by every surgeon's office. At Blossom, they require a 14 days of 2 protein shakes a day, so breakfast and lunch is protein shakes, and then 1 meal consisting of 4 to 5 ounces of lean protein, and then as many leafy green vegetables as I want. And that's it. And then water. All the water and 0-calorie drinks that I can drink that are not carbonated and not caffeinated. So no soda, no coffee. I'm lucky that I get to have that 1 meal because a lot of people struggle with not being able to chew for 2 weeks straight when they do the liquid diet. I get to chew at least 1 meal, so that actually is super helpful. And then I can fill up on veggies too if I'm really hungry. But it's a huge challenge because I'm cutting my calories down from 2,000 calories a day, give or take, to about 850. So it's a big jump. I'm going to link a video down below in the description from Blossom that basically talks about how the vertical sleeve gastrectomy works and what it does to your stomach and what your stomach looks like pre-op and post-op, because I think that it'll just be interesting for people to learn. Also about why the pre-op diet's not sustainable. It's not something that I could just be like, oh, I'm not going to get the surgery, I'm just going to do the pre-op diet forever. You will binge, you will fall off, you cannot keep that up. And then that video explains why you can keep that up post-surgery. So I think that's going to be important. And essentially I'm in for being hungry all the time for the next 2 weeks. I'm going to be hangry. I'm going to lash out. It's going to be bad. And I'm not looking forward to that part at all. So in preparation for that, I've done some meal planning. We've cleaned out the kitchen. We cooked some chicken today. And my husband's going to be eating dinner with me. During the week, we eat breakfast and lunch separate anyways. But he's going to eat dinner with me, which is great. and that kind of gives me some moral support. And then finally, my goal during this pre-op diet phase is to lose between 10 and 20 pounds. Ideally, I'd like to be 350 pounds or less before surgery, and I'm currently 364, so 14 pounds, I think it's doable. Yeah, so that's it for today. Again, right at 20 minutes. Thank you for watching. My next video, I'll probably going to talk about the whether or not this surgery is the easy way out or not. And then the one after that, I will talk about post-op, or not post-op, I'll talk about pre-op diet week 1 and how that went and how much weight I lost. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to keep following and know how my journey goes. And thank you very much, and see you next time. Take care.